And with that, I'm going to move on to introducing our day chair, Anna Koskren, who is the principal at NTH and has been there since 1998. She's moving up. I think she's trying to keep me from talking here. You're good. NTH is an independent project management and real estate firm. Their work includes strategic planning, site selection, lease purchase negotiations, financial analysis, budget and schedule management, along with design and construction management. Some of her projects have included historic preservation and adaptive reuse of the former Grain Belt Brew House and development of a build-to-site building on Nicollet Mall for Xcel Energy. Prior to her time with NTH, I'm not sure how many people know this, Anna spent almost 6 years managing the international supply chain department of the Barcelona office of a multinational pharmaceutical firm. Anna's got a BA from McAllister and an MBA from Augsburg. She's currently also an executive committee member of the Minneapolis Downtown Council. And you may not know, because she might not tell you, that she was listed as one of the Power 30 in commercial real estate in 2021 and 2022. And one of the 40 under 40 by the Minneapolis St. Paul Business Journal. So I bring you Anna Koskren.
I didn't send Jean a bio on purpose, but I don't know. So maybe that's advice. Don't send her one and she makes stuff up. Well, I'm excited to get to introduce our speaker today, Dani. Dani Schmidt is a well-respected nurse and heart health coach. After caring for hundreds of patients on the open heart surgery unit, she founded the Cardiac Coach, which I think is why we had oatmeal this morning and not bacon. But she works one-on-one with high-powered professionals to help them take control of their health and live longer, fuller lives. She has a bachelor's degree in biology and a master's degree in nursing, and is an emerging thought leader on health and wellness space. So I would say Dani was at our table this morning, and we got to chat a little bit about, the importance of reducing stress, but working night shifts and starting your own company. So looking forward to hearing how you balance all of those things and give us some guidance. So welcome.
And thank you everyone for inviting me into your community. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited to be here. So today I'm going to talk about why prioritizing your health is the best way to create a high impact career. First, I'll give you a brief background on my journey here. My first nursing job was at a major Minneapolis hospital on the open heart surgery unit. And while I loved caring for my patients, I quickly became frustrated at how our health system deals with chronic disease. Patients would come in with advanced heart disease, and our surgeons would perform open heart surgery on them and restore blood flow to their heart. Watching my patients go through this painful and dangerous surgery, I couldn't help but wish that I could go back in time 10 years and help them prevent the disease in the first place. And then too often the patients would go home and they would go back to the same unhealthy lifestyle they were living before. And again, I just wished I could go home with them and make sure they actually implemented the changes that we, recommended. And, we all know changing your lifestyle is not an easy task. It's easy to say you're going to do something. It's so much harder to actually do it. This frustration led me to create the Cardiac Coach. And I aim to help as many people as possible prevent chronic disease through a simple, sustainable, and science-backed healthy lifestyle. So most of my clients are high achievers, and they love their work and they live with deep purpose, kind of like all of you. The problem is that in their pursuit of an impactful career, they have neglected their health entirely. To them, prioritizing their health is something that's not available to them for a variety of reasons. They're too busy. They're too tired from work. They don't know where to start, or maybe they're just too far gone. This apathy and self-neglect is seen all over America. According to the CDC, 44% of Americans aged 40 to 59 are obese. A whopping 1 in 3 Americans have prediabetes. And by the age of 40, Nearly 50% of adults have cholesterol deposits in their arteries, the early stages of heart disease. What we're doing is not working, and it's effectively killing us. I propose a different way of doing things. I'm not suggesting that we all quit our jobs and go sit on the beach, although some people do take that approach. Instead, what if we intertwined our health and our careers as synergistic counterparts, both equally important to achieving maximum impact? Doing this won't just help you avoid early death and hospital admissions. It will actually supercharge your career. The truth is that when you're at peak health, you're a more effective professional. A corporate executive with a healthy gut will have less brain fog and improved concentration. A well-rested physician will make fewer mistakes and have better patient outcomes. A writer who just finished a workout will be brimming with creativity and inspiration. A retiree who plays pickleball 4 times a week will maintain their neurocognitive abilities much longer than their sedentary counterparts. Let's welcome in a new era of professionalism, where prioritizing your health is not only encouraged, but required to achieving your highest potential. Where a healthy body and mind are not just nice things to have, but your biggest assets to be protected at all costs. You might be thinking, okay, this sounds nice, but how do I do this? Where do I start? So today I'm going to give you 5 action steps that you can take this week to start prioritizing your health and treating it like your biggest asset, which I believe it is. And just before I started, I wanted to tell a quick story about there's this CEO, I think he's the CEO of a kombucha company. And he said something on a podcast that was like, if I don't get my morning workout in, I'm canceling my morning meetings, because that's how much he knows that staying healthy and staying on top of his routines makes him a better boss, a better CEO. And that's kind of the gist of everything we're going to talk about today. So the first action step is to heal your gut by using a plant-based diet. So gut health is a big buzzword these days. And I wonder if I can take this off. And it's easy to just get lost in the weeds. It's like, what even is gut health? But really all gut health is, it's the community of bacteria in your gut and how diverse it is. Researchers are finding that healthy people, the ones that effortlessly maintain their weight, the ones that are free of chronic disease and have good mental health, they have a very diverse community of bacteria, meaning that when you take a sample from their gut, there's tons of different types of bacteria and different microorganisms. And when you take a sample and it's not diverse, that's almost universally a sign of poor health. And so how do you get this diverse community? Well, you have to feed a diverse community of bacteria, and you feed them with plants. You see, every different bacteria feeds on a different type of plant. There's bacteria that feed on carrots. There's bacteria that feed on kale. There's bacteria that feed on coconuts. And if you only eat, 4 types of vegetables or plants a week, which, most Americans eat very few. 97% of Americans are deficient in fiber, which is plants. So if you're only feeding a few of the bacteria, you're not going to have this robust community. I say it's kind of like New York City, right? Why is New York City so diverse? They've got so many different restaurants. They have Italian restaurants, they have French restaurants, they have Ethiopian restaurants. And that's why, they're feeding, it's very simplistic, but they're feeding a diverse group of people. And so a diverse group of people stays in that city. And it's a very robust and healthy city. And so the science can get complex, but the action step is simple. Just take the amount of plants that you eat on a weekly basis. And I'm talking starches, vegetables, fruits, grains, all of it, and multiply it by 10. And then you might get close to what like other countries in Africa and less developed countries eat. And obviously do this over time or else you're going to get a stomach ache. The next action step is to move your body more using the ABCs of exercise. The ABCs is a framework that I created to help my clients really find a routine that they will stick to. because there's no shortage of exercise routines. There's 1,000,001 of them, even on YouTube for free, but we don't do them. Why? Because they don't have these points. So the first point is accountability, and it is the most important. Accountability can be financial or it can be relationship-based. I believe relationship-based is more powerful because we've all spent an exorbitant amount of money on a gym membership that we never use. And if we take the example of pickleball, which is all the rage now, and I love it because I do think it scores high at all of these points. Because if someone's expecting you at pickleball, you said you're going to show up at 5:30, you're not going to disappoint them. You're going to show up, as opposed to heading to Anytime Fitness after work. It's like, well, no one really cares if I show up. So you're not going to. The next one is belonging. So right now we're all starved of connection. And if you find an exercise routine that makes you feel like you belong, then you're more likely to stick to it because it's going to be a source of social connection. When I think of my yoga studio, that's what it is for me. It's like I get there and it's like, oh, this is my community. We're all together and we all come together every week and we just move and breathe. And that is a huge component of a sustainable exercise routine. The next one is convenience, because we all know that if your gym is halfway across town, you'll use it once a year. And that's pretty self-explanatory. And then development. You have to be able to develop your skills. There has to be room for improvement. Can you get better at being on an elliptical? Sure, but it's kind of hard to measure and it's not really motivating. But you can improve your golf swing, right? And that is very motivating to keep going back and keep getting better. And and that's going to keep you going back, as opposed to something that you can't really measure if you get better. It's not really skill-based. So again, pickleball has that because you can get better at the game. And then the next one is enjoyment. It's so funny. My dad, always growing up, he said, whenever he gained a couple pounds, he's like, well, I need to run. I need to go running. And he'd go out and run. He'd like sprint for 30 minutes and he'd feel horrible. And I'm like, Dad, you hate running. Like, why do you think that exercise has to be something that you hate? And so I believe that it's not, no pain, no gain. I believe that if you like it and if you look forward to it, you'll actually do it. And so I always ask my clients, I'm like, okay, do you like it? And they're like, no, it kind of sucks. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to find something else until it's something that you enjoy. For some people, it's walking, 9 holes of golf. For some people, it's walking around their neighborhood. It's different for everyone. And so the key is to find the routine that hits all of these for you. And it may not be what you think. And so the next one is to get your preventative screenings and go to your primary care provider. So when I think about this, I think of the tragic story of my best friend's uncle. He was the picture of health. His brother said he looked like a gymnast because he was all muscle. He worked out twice a day. He ate healthy, and he was super fit. A few summers ago, he went to Colorado to do a bike trip. And he had a massive heart attack on his bike and died on the spot. They did an autopsy and they looked at his heart and they saw that he had several heart attacks before then. And so this man, the picture of health, he didn't go to the doctor because he was healthy. Why would he need to go to the doctor? But it's not always that simple. Some of us have a family history, which he did, which I also do. And so getting these screenings, I believe in using the best of lifestyle medicine and the best of Western medicine to get the best outcomes. And so the ones that everyone can do, all age, all gender, can do blood pressure checks every year. The new guidelines is actually under 120/80. It used to be 140. Now they're really being tight about it because they know that even sitting at 145 for 5 years can lead to problems. Getting a cholesterol panel, all ages every year. I, as a teenager, had high cholesterol because of my family history. And my dad's cardiologist was like, listen, you got to get your girls in. to get checked because, it runs in the family. And what matters most is the ratio. It's the ratio of good cholesterol to bad cholesterol, as opposed to the total number. The next one is the hemoglobin A1C. This is a measure of diabetes. And this is one that can change. It's about a 3-month picture of what your blood sugar has been for the last 3 months. So it can change. Just because you got one done last year doesn't mean it's the same this year. Just this year, my mom, her hemoglobin C finally reached a little bit above the cutoff and they had to put her on medications. And, it's good, as much as it pains me that, as the cardiac coach, she has the starting points of diabetes. I'm also glad that we're taking action on it. And it's only because we got this checked. And so the next few are depending on your risk and depending on your age. And the first is an exercise stress test. Pretty much they just connect you to an EKG and a blood pressure and they make you run on a treadmill. If my best friend's uncle would have done an exercise stress test, they would have told him, cancel your trip and we're going to do open heart surgery. And he would still be with us. Next is mammogram. Women over 40 now can get a mammogram. And breast cancer is so much more preventable in the early stages. And the last one is something I'm a little crazy about, colonoscopy. Might be because my grandma died young of colon cancer. And it's also because so many patients now are coming in with stage 4 colon cancer. And I look at their history, I'm like, where's their colonoscopy? You're 57. We could have prevented this. And the thing about colonoscopy is it's not just that it detects the cancer, it can actually prevent it because the gastroenterologist will just take the polyps out before they turn into cancer. So you just never get it in the first place. And so just check with your doctor if you're eligible for that. And the new age is 45 because we're starting to see stage 4 in young people. I had a 53-year-old patient a couple weeks ago, and he's got a couple months to live now. And so it's like, come on, we got to get the colonoscopy done, and just get a baseline done at 45 and then go from there. And on your sheets, there's like a health finder tool. So you can put in your gender, put in your age, and find out like what you're eligible for. The next one is daily and weekly stress release. So I always laugh when I hear the words stress reduction or stress elimination, because I'm like, I'm on the unit. There's a million call lights going off. Someone's yelling at me for something I have no control over. It's like, how can I reduce that stress? That stress is going to be there. And I know we all experience stress because we're all in, careers that can be pretty stressful. And so I think of stress as a pressure gauge. And actually, this is something that a coach told me about dealing with stress as a nurse. It's kind of like a pressure gauge. It will kind of bubble over, and you have to release it periodically to keep it from getting to that really red zone. When it's in that red zone, it's affecting your blood pressure, it's affecting your health. You blow up at your partner, you yell at an employee, it will show up in some area of your life. Even if you think you're managing it, if you're not releasing it on an hourly, daily, weekly basis, it's gonna start to get the best of you. And so there's so many different ways to release stress. Exercise is one of them, but we already talked about that. And these are some that have really helped me and have really helped some of my friends and clients. The first one is yoga. And obviously everyone rolls their eyes. They're like, yoga's not for me. Yoga is for, younger people. Yoga is for more flexible people. Yoga is for thinner people. And I say yoga is for everyone. And you don't have to join a studio. It really is just moving and breathing. That's why it helps. It's just moving and breathing and being in the present. You don't have to get in the poses. You don't have to, get all of the poses right. You don't need to be super flexible. You just need to get on the mat and do it for a few minutes. And the best place to start is a YouTube channel called Yoga with Adriene. That's where I started because I did not feel like I could go to a studio. I didn't want people to look at me. I didn't know what yoga was, but I was stressed out at my first job at a hospital. And I was like, I need to do something. So I came home, rolled out my yoga mat, turned on the YouTube, and it was like my brain just relaxed. It was like, I say, it's like a salve for my brain. It's just like everything calms down after you do a little yoga. And so the link is on your sheets. It's a great place to start. Also, there's so many studios here, and you can do class passes. Even if it's like, okay, I have a really particularly stressful month, I'm just going to buy a class pack of 4 and go from there. The next one is something that not a lot of people know about, and it's crazy because it's so helpful. And it's called emotional freedom technique, EFT tapping. And I actually did it before coming here. Just, it's pretty much the basis is acupuncture, Chinese medicine, but it's pretty much just tapping on your face and saying some affirmations. That's really all it is. It calms your nervous system. And again, nobody has to know, nobody has to see you. You close the door to your office, turn on this video on YouTube. Brad Yates is everything. He has everything you need. Tapping for anxiety, there was a tapping for presentations, which I may or may not have done. And so he's got everything, and he's really helpful. They're 5-10 minutes and super easy. And, if you can get over the silliness of tapping on your face, every person that I've tried, a friend calls me, they're freaking out. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna send you a video. You're gonna call me back in 10 minutes. You're gonna see if you feel better. And they always call me back. They're like, gosh, that was weird, but I feel better. And I'm like, yeah, it works, And the next one is something that my generation has started to embrace a little bit more, which makes me really happy. And that's the role of therapy. So you need someone to talk to about the things that have happened to you. And if you don't talk about them, you're just going to store them in your body. They're going to build up and they're going to make you sick. And so having someone to talk to is everything, whether it is your spouse, your partner, your friends, your coworkers. The thing is, they're not trained to deal with that. They don't know what to say. They do their best, but they're not trained. I mean, we have professionals that are trained to make you feel better. And I'm like, just use them. They literally wake up every day being like, I hope people come to me, and just use them. They are amazing. The best place, the only place really that I have found them is psychologytoday.com. Put in your zip code, a million come up. You can put in your preferences, gender, modality, you put in your insurance, and they'll just find the one that's near you. And it's a great option. And so, if something's bothering you, or even if something isn't and your stress levels are just high, it's something to think about. And the last one, this is actually a picture of my family. I think it was Mother's Day, and it just makes me so happy because it's just a little moment that was so filled with joy. And it's, we're finding that happier people live longer. And even as a nurse, nurses can tell you that the patients that are happy and more positive, they end up recovering faster. There was a patient that was kind of an angry, spiteful man, and he just didn't recover. And I just remember saying to my coworkers, I'm like, he is not going to recover if he has this attitude. Like, I just don't know. There's something about it. I'm sure there's science to back it up, but it's just a phenomenon we see as nurses. And so as Americans, we see happiness as like something that we will get one day when we reach, some goal. But the thing is, then you will never reach it because there will always be another goal. There will always be a reason that you can't be happy. But the truth is that you deserve to be happy now, and you deserve to actually lean into it and find joy. The Blue Zones documentary on Netflix, which I really recommend you watch, it's called Live to 100, Secrets of the Blue Zones. They see that all of the blue zones, the places where people live the longest, like Sardinia, actually there's one in Loma Linda, California, and they prioritize joy. They don't feel bad about it. They're like, yeah, happiness is the reason that we're living. Like, why wouldn't we be happy? And I also think it's very easy with all of the suffering in the world, at least for me, is to feel like, why can I be happy if there's so many people suffering? And I've come to realize that both are true. Yes, they're suffering. And if we're blessed enough to be experiencing joy, revel in it, enjoy it, seek it out, because it is such a wonderful thing. And it's so good for your health. And going back to the concept of prioritizing your health to be the best person that you can be, I love this quote by Susie Orman: happiness is not a luxury, it's a necessity. When we are happy, we're in the best possible place to be good to others and those we love. And then this quote by Leo Tolstoy is what I'll leave you with. And I love it because it's Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing themselves. And prioritizing your health is the best way to change the world, because only then will you be serving others at your highest potential, which is what we all hope to do. So thank you.
I think we have time for one question or two short ones. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask Dani before we wrap up? Jim? Yeah. Okay. Common.
I didn't see you raise your hand. You were. Well, I just want to really support what you said. It's a wonderful talk. I speak from experience. 25 years ago, I had my left anterior descending artery, which was called the Widowmaker, was 95 to 99% blocked. I had 3 stents put in, and you said that you talked about a change in lifestyle is difficult. Actually, I found it very easy for about 4 weeks. And so I think the A to E thing that you had up there was really important, the sustainability of your lifestyle and your exercise routine, which I didn't really get into really well until I was retired, frankly. So anyway, thank you for your
Thank
talk.
you so much. It is so hard. Like, you get excited and then you drop off after 4 weeks. And yeah, that's kind of what I help my clients with, is I'm like, nope, I know you're getting tired of it, but you're stuck with me. We're continuing.
Okay, and I think we're out of time. I don't know if you can stay around for a minute or two if anyone else has additional questions, but so in honor of you speaking here today, we don't have a huge gift, but we do ask that you sign a book that'll be donated to Way to Grow. It's a nonprofit that helps at-risk students in Minneapolis be more successful in school. So we give them a book that you sign. It'll go to a child in 3rd grade. So they have a book of their own signed by a leader in our community. So the pen that you get to sign with is yours to keep. It has a Minneapolis City of Lakes Rotary Club logo. So when you're looking for a way to get involved in the community and want to come join the club, you know where we are. Okay. Thank you. Jean?
Thank you, Dani. Nice job. And with that, I will thank everyone who helped make this meeting possible today. Our greeter, Chris, John for his reflection, and Anna for being the day chair, and our Zoom master over here, Brock, and Greg, as always, for setup. And I will look forward to seeing you next Tuesday for our roaring holiday party at 5:30 at Ross's office. Have a great Rotary week.